And now I'd like to introduce Gabriella Giuliani, who is our Artist in the Schools program director.
Hi, everybody, and welcome. My name is Gabriella Giuliani. I am the program director for the Artist in the Schools program here at Gallery Route 1. I am so pleased to have you here present virtually as I take you through the walkthrough of the exhibition of this year, which is the Seeds, Cycles of Life. After an unprecedented year marked by fires and storms and a global pandemic, the Shoreline students, artists, found hope and solace in working with seeds and the cyclical nature of plant life through Gallery Route 1's Artists in the Schools program. The Seed Cycles of Life presents visual images of growth and change in our environment as experienced by the students and by our communities. On view here today are 11 different Artists in the Schools projects that explore the visual observations and experiments in which student artists incorporated plants in their compositions as they explore the outdoors. Conversely, other projects turned inwards and showed metaphorically how we move through the journey of life from birth to death. This exhibition includes the work of more than 350 students from the Shoreline school districts, including the participating campuses of Inverness School, Bodega Bay School, Tomales Elementary School, Tomales High School, and the West Marin School. The Artists in the Schools program has been part of this community since 1993. Bringing visual and literary artists and scientists in collaboration with classroom teachers to focus awareness on environmental issues through art making. The Artists in the Schools program is committed to studio art instruction, the history of art, cultural collaboration, and the applied arts. Place-based environmental education is a guiding principle of the program. I would like to thank the individual donors as well as the support from the Marin Community Foundation, the Marin Cultural Association, Strathmore, and Shoreline Unified School District. The West Marin Fund as well for their generous contributions to the Artists in the Schools program. In addition, this program would not be possible without the guidance from the Gallery Route 1 staff and board and Toby's Speed Bar. Thank you all. And a special thanks to Shoreline teachers, Colleen Connolly, Jenny Gagan, and Mary Philo. Without further ado, I'd like you to take a walk with me around the gallery. And I thought, what better way to begin this exhibition than with saying congratulations to the graduating class of both Tomales High School, but also the 8th grade of West Marin. I'd like to begin with Vikisa. Vikisa is an artist, a teaching artist with Artists in the Schools, and her program this year was the self-reflective portraits. She worked with the 8th grade of West Marin School. So let's take a look at Vikisa's artwork. Vikisa.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for being here. I'm one named Vikisa, and I've been doing this teaching with Artists in the Schools. I was thinking probably a really long time, and I've done watercolors and I've done murals and I've done ceramics. This year, obviously by Zoom, and I did this project with the 8th graders, the self-reflective portrait in Frida Kahlo style. So I am really meaning this to be a rite of passage. Students that do it tell me, and I know it's not easy for them, and I tell them that by the time they finish this project, high school will be a breeze. So the self-reflective portrait in Frida Kahlo style starts with me showing them the art of Frida Kahlo. She did at least 50 portraits in her short life. I really show them in a slideshow. And that's the first lesson after I teach them about my work and who I am and introduce myself to the students. They take a journey inward to really examine themselves, and literally using a mirror, they have these sequential lessons with many demonstrations that students can follow at home, including learning to use watercolor pencils and many techniques. There were many materials required, and I was really happy that Gabriella found a way to supply us with these rather expensive, very good materials. And with that, the students have created a self-portrait, and they made the frame in the folk art tin frame Mexican style. And having been told a little bit about the history of Mexico and how the metal and the lack of it, because the gold was stolen, which they usually used, and now they're using tin. And so the students have been using this metal, and they have been learning about that. Have with working hard to journey inwards, and there were many things that they, I think, learned as far as growth is concerned. They also did this writing project with their teacher, their 8th grade teacher, Julie Cassell, who was fabulous. And they talk about who they are becoming, what they want out of life. And when all is finished, they emerge with a sense of empowerment, achievement, and growth. I'm proud to say that every time I do this project, every student does something that's different, that's their own work. And I love that. And that's something that I'm really, constantly talking about who they are and how great they are and what a good time this is. The students then move on to high school, but their parents are left with the portrait of themselves, which they keep for a very long time, I've noticed. I'm in debt to Julie Cassell, the 8th grade teacher, and Colleen Connolly, the art teacher extraordinaire, who really helped me manifest this. If anybody has any questions, please contact me at vikisa@aceweb.com. Enjoy your portraits.
Next up, we have Sandra Wolfson, teaching artist, with her project, Drawing Inspiration from Nature. She worked with the Tamales Middle School of 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and the 7th grade of West Marin School. Sandra currently is an artist in residence at Hala in Berkeley, as well as a teacher at College of Marin, and she resides in Vermont. Sandra, thank you.
I'm excited to be here and to be able to be in a gallery. If you look around, it is so colorful and so much fun to be here. I hope you'll come and see this special exhibit. Again, my name is Sandra Wolfson, and my background as a practicing artist is I'm a printmaker at Kala, which is a renowned printmaking studio, happily to be able to make prints. But first, I usually go out into nature and draw. And I thought it would be wonderful for me to go in and talk to students about drawing outside. So it was fantastic that, Gallery Route 1 were able to give sketchbooks to every student, art pencils to every student, an eraser and a sharpener to every single student so they could use a sketchbook. And the sketchbook is great because it's a great place for ideas. I think sketchbooks are great for ideas and for experimentation. So, you can make mistakes if there is such a thing as making a mistake, but you can also practice with your pencils. We talked a lot about how to hold a pencil, the quality of lines you can make, everything from the elements to the principles of design and how to create art. So I started with warm-up exercises, and I thought, if you take your sketchbook outside and find a place that you find inspiring, you can start with an exercise as simple as just grounding yourself by maybe drawing a line as you breathe in and drawing a line as you breathe out. My sketchbook is full of those kinds of drawings. And we also, so from those kinds of warm-ups, we went into more projects. We talked about when you're out in nature, how do you compose a drawing? You can use your pencil to create or find scale, and how do you find that 1 point for 1 point perspective? So we talked about going down paths and taking drawing as an adventure. And so I encourage all of the students to take these wonderful sketchbooks outside and draw. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sandra. Next up, we have Genevieve Ray Busby, teaching artist, with her project, Sea Journeys, Object Life Cycles and Stories. She worked with the West Marin School of the 2nd grade. Genevieve Ray is currently based in Oregon and originally from a small farm in rural Kansas. She has shown work in shows in Providence, Rhode Island, Lawrence, Kansas, Mexico City, and the Bay Area, and recently received her MFA from Mills College. I'll read her project statement. Sea Journeys, Object Life Cycles and Stories. This project investigates and depicts the lives of objects that come in on the tide, with an emphasis on building visual literacy and curiosity about the world around us. To begin, we collected objects along the shoreline or from local waterways, looking for things that seemed out of place and that caught our eye. Whether human-made or natural, these objects that we selected were enduring. They had traveled far in time and or in space and had stories to tell us. In the series that inspired this project, Uncaught, the artist collected balls that had floated across the Pacific Ocean and into the bay on the tide and washed up on the shore. Once we found our object muses, we studied them through close observation, writing and visual depiction, observational and life-size drawings and paintings. No details escaped us. We examined every corner, dimple, scratch, and mark as clues that hold the key to stories of our objects, to their life stories. Along the way, we explored painting with watercolors and color theory, and we especially enjoyed sharing our stories together. What will the sea bring us next? Great, I'd like to turn around the corner here and focus on the project Shannon O'Neill Crichton, teaching artist, ran, which are cyanotypes. Shannon worked with the Inverness School of Pre-K and Kindergarten and the Tomales High School photography classes. Shannon O'Neill Crichton is a Gallery Route 1 senior fellow and a visual artist working as a high school photography teacher and a freelance visual artist in West Sonoma County. I'll go ahead and I'll read her project statement as well. Cyanotypes. Cyanotypes are one of the original ways photographs were made and use only the sun and light-sensitive paper to make an image. Photography is essentially drawing with light. Making cyanotype photograms is one of the clearest ways to demonstrate this, and the process is incredibly simple. For the Artists in the Schools lessons, we made cyanotype photograms, which is a picture made from found objects, but with no camera, with items found in nature that have produced seeds. This could be anything from a piece of fruit, to a pine cone, to a sunflower. The prompt to collect seeds engages the questions, what is a seed? How do we know to find a seed? What is a seed for? Seeds are a fundamental part of nature, and we are part of that too. Seeds create our future. By thinking about seeds, we invite the students to integrate what they learned about what a seed is, and also in a step in creating our future. Following Shannon, we have the project of Annie Duncan, stamp project, who worked with the 3rd grade, both elementary and West Marin School. Annie Duncan is a Gallery Route 1 fellow as well. She is a printer, painter, and educator currently living in Inverness, California. I'll go ahead and read her project statement. Stamp project. In this printmaking project, each student carved homemade stamps from vegetables and printed them on fabric. In keeping with this year's Artists in the Schools theme, the seed, the cycle of life, students used all natural, homegrown materials for stamp carving, like potatoes and broccoli and apples. Students printed their stamps on fabric with the intention of building some kind of pattern with their shape. The project quickly expanded and everyone began experimenting with mark making, color, and composition. Ultimately, many students ended up creating scenes from their shapes, weaving in narrative into landscape imagery. Together, everyone's fabric squares came together and formed kind of a quilt, becoming pieces of a larger pattern, each while telling their own story. You'll get a break from me next as we have Rob Porter, teaching artist, with his project, Sunflower Paintings. He worked with the Bodega Bay schools of kindergarten through 2nd grade, Tamales Elementary School, K through 2nd grade, and the West Marin 1st grade. Rob has been a practicing professional artist for many decades, currently based in Danville, California. Rob?
Hi, everyone. I had the best time working with my students. Hi, Colleen. Colleen did a fabulous job helping me with the class. If you look at those sunflowers that my classes did, the kids were kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade, and I think those look amazing. The kids just did an amazing job. We did 2 different parts. The first part, we only had an hour to work on this. The first part, we did practices with a grease pencil, a black grease pencil, or a China marker, and we did practices doing 2 different shapes. We did a disc or a circle, and then we did 2 arcs, and we kept practicing those marks until we put those together, making one large sunflower for these bouquets. And so all the classes came together. They cut out their sunflowers and put those in those vases for the different schools. And I think that turned out so great as a representation of the entire class. If you look at every single sunflower, they all turned out different the way the kids turn out different. So from a distance, they all look like sunflowers. They're all yellow and brown and black. You know, like students all kind of look the same from a distance, and then you get closer and closer. Every single flower is different and unique the way the kids are unique. And I think all those turned out so fabulous. I gave them the option, if they finished one, to do another one and to paint the background blue and to be able to give that to a friend or a family member. And so that's what those completed watercolors are that flank the sides. Those are a second version that wasn't cut out that they're going to give away as a gift. And so we didn't talk about specifically how this was an homage to Vincent van Gogh, but Vincent obviously picked flowers, did paintings, decorated his room for his expected guests to decorate his cottage. And the sunflowers in that respect all represent friendship and warmth and welcoming. And I think that exemplifies itself perfectly in this project. So thank you to Colleen, thank you to all the classes and the students that participated. I'm really, really thrilled with how unique and individual all these watercolors turned out. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rob. Next up, we have the work of Manuel Rulas, artist in the schools, teaching artist, with his projects, The Seed, Life Cycles, and prints inspired by Jose Guadalupe Pasado. Manuel is a Mexican artist who graduated in fine arts from the University of Guadalajara and currently lives in Oakland. Manuel is here to talk about his work.
Hi everyone, I'm really happy, I'm really grateful with this project about the children. We work with inspired and Jose Guadalupe Posadas, the calaveras. The calaveras is something really deeper in the Mexican culture, and one of them is Dia de los Muertos. We work with this topic. Yeah, the student did really something really special and really awesome. And we work like the seed, the life of the ciclo de la vida. The idea was working on like the sea and when the sea growing and finally the death, but the death is the beginning for the life. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Manuel. Next up, we have the work of Haley Malaika Clark with her project Dandelion Seeds, Dispersing in the Wind, who worked with the 5th grade of the West Marin School. Haley Malaika Clark is a multimedia, visual, and performance artist based in San Francisco. I believe she's online to talk about her work.
Yes, she is.
Hi, everybody. It was just such an amazing experience working with the children. I was amazed at how focused, engaged they were working through the screen. So Dandelion Seeds, Dispersing in the Wind was our theme, and we did some pre-visualization meditation, some breathing exercises, and the kids were really encouraged to go inside themselves and to paint expressively what they were feeling. So I wanted them to be able to have a metaphor with any internal winds of change that they were experiencing and to try to put that out onto the canvas. So after we pre-visualized, I had them start with an expressive background to kind of symbolize the winds. And then we worked on the compositions beforehand, just on sketch pieces of paper. So they got to know the importance of pre-planning a painting or considering compositions. I had them do multiple compositions in their sketches, and then they were given the choice of combining their sketches or picking elements of their sketches or just choosing one of their sketches to focus on. So we had the advantage of working 2 different classes. So we were able to then go in the second class and put in highlights and focus on like lighting source, color mixing, and the kids were just a pleasure to work with. We did a lot of painting along to music, which was a technique that a teacher had showed me at my elementary school, which I always remembered and enjoyed. So we painted from a broad range of music, from Tchaikovsky to Sam Cooke to Nina Simone, and even to some Bob Marley. And I think everyone just had a blast. I love that we got to go in and add details at the end. So they were encouraged. The very last piece was to paint any added details of expression that they wanted into their background. So I was just so thrilled with how successful each and every painting was, and just with what promising young artists each and every student was who participated. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being part of the program as well. Next up, we have Mela Delgado, artist in the school's teaching artist, with her project, Ojo de Dios, or the Eyes of God. She worked with the Bodega Bay Elementary School, West Marin's 4th grade, Tamales High School's Art 1 class. Mela currently works at the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art as an artist, art registrar, and a visual experience assistant. She is also teacher of private and public art classes in the Bay Area and resides in the East Bay. I'll read her artist statement. Ojo de Dios is Spanish for eye of God. It is a symbol of protection made by the Huichol or Huichicara people who lived in the Sierra Madre mountains of Mexico. Using crisscrossing sticks, they wove the center out 5 different colored yarns. The centered color, or the eye, represented the sun and stood for the power of seeing and understanding things we normally cannot see, while the ends of each stick represent the 4 elements: earth, water, wind, and fire. For the Artists in the Schools program, the West Marin 4th grade students in Miss Connolly's class and the Tamales High School students in Miss Gilgagan's class created their Zoom classes from their homes or from their classroom, their own Ojo de Dios, with materials delivered by the Gallery Route 1. Thanks to the video, I was able to create for Gallery Route 1 and how to make the Eye of God, and teaching the virtual classes live. All of the students were able to create not only one, but several Eyes of God during their classes and in their free time. Next up, we have our cameraman, Joe Fox, with his project, Seed Architecture, who worked with the 8th grade class of West Marin. Joe currently lives and works in Point Reyes Station, running a small woodworking business. He has lived in West Marin since 2001 and has been involved with the Artists in the Schools program and the Makerspace program for the past 5 years. He is also an artist member of Gallery Route 1. Joe?
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Joe Fox. I've been involved with the Artists in the Schools and the Maker program for about 5 years. The Artist Maker program is, although it's been going for a number of years, it's still in its infancy. But it's primarily a elective for the middle school students at West Marin School. So this year, under extenuating circumstances, I was able to work with Julie Cassell's 8th grade class to do this seed architecture project. One of the things that I emphasize in the Maker elective is is design. The importance of say going through the different stages of creating your project, and this project was no exception. We started by doing observation of plants. Each student chose a plant. They had to find it online because we weren't able to meet in person to go outside together. Once they selected a plant, they did a drawing and kind of worked through some of the ideas that they had. But primarily they were looking to get inspiration from the plant to create a building of some kind in model form. So I was able to give all the students a little box of different supplies. Each student got a hot glue gun and a small piece of plywood that they could use as a base. Once they chose a plant and did their drawing, they could basically just continue to work. And so this was a 4-session project. And all of the students took the time to write their own little information snippet about the inspiration and the plant that they chose. And I think they did a fantastic job utilizing all the materials, bringing color in, looking for qualities in the plants that really, I think excited them. So I was really impressed with what they were able to do, especially because I couldn't be in the classroom. And in that regard, very special thanks to Julie Cassell, because she was in the classroom and really helped so much with organizing the activities and being in the room with the kids. So, but I'm very happy with the way all of this turned out. I think they came up with some original designs, and hopefully we'll get to do this again next year. So, thanks. Here's a few pieces. I was just going to get some details here. I think they came up with some really inventive ways to create architecture.
Okay, last but not least is Brian Kirby, teaching artist with his project, Scattered Seeds Poems, who worked with the 5th grade classes of both Tomales Elementary and West Marin School. Brian Kirby is a California poet in the schools and artist in the schools, teaching artist who lives in Point Reyes Station. I'll read his statement. Scattered Seeds Poems. Despite the limited educational options during the COVID-19 pandemic, When I found out that the Artists in the Schools theme of the 2020-21 school year was the seed cycles of life, I knew I needed to find a way to bring poetry into the mix. Like a seed itself, I felt that this theme had a great deal of potential packed within it. One option I offered was to explore what seeds were being planted in humanity as a result of the pandemic. Another was the theme of seeds in nature, and also another was for the students to reflect on the cycle of their lives and their identity, beginning with the seed stage. Finally, if nothing else resonated with the students, they could write a poem celebrating spring. With 2 sessions delivered online during a mosaic school year, I knew it might be challenging to have students stick strictly to the seed thing. But the important thing I felt amid an increasingly virtual reality was that the students had an opportunity of expressing whatever was on their minds and in their hearts through the creativity of poetry. As you'll see, the result is a broad interpretation of the theme and a diverse smattering of voices. I would like to express my thanks to the Tamales Elementary 5th grade teacher, Jennifer Warner, the Tamales Elementary and West Marin Schools 5th and 6th grade online teacher, Lori Rubin, and the Tamales Elementary art teacher, Mary Philo, a nascent Artists in the Schools director, Gabriella Giuliani, for helping me cobble this project into the patchwork of this year's curriculum. Well, that concludes our walkthrough of the exhibition of this year's Artists in the Schools program, The Seed Cycles of Life. Thank you for joining me. If there's time remaining, I'd happily answer some questions that the audience may have. I encourage you to come by Toby's Feed Barn. The show will be up through June 22nd, and we look forward to having you here. We'll have an in-person reception right now this afternoon from 2 to 5. Thank you so much.